Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna show you how I made some Christmas decoration with my hair drying clay. For the first part of my project I used some air drying clay, cookie cutter shape and some fabric with a very nice texture. I used a clean even surface to flatten my clay to create a slab, kind of slab. And first I did it with my hands and then I used my rolling pin. Make sure that your clay is even and has the same thickness everywhere. Here are some tips. You can place two guidelines bar on your worktop, one on the left and one on the right hand side of your clay, and roll your rolling pin on it. In this way you're sure that you have the thickness you like and that your clay is not too thick or too thin. Once I was happy with my clay, I laid down my fabric on it to create this embossed texture on it. And here is another tips. The more pressure you put on your rolling pin, the more the texture will be visible on your clay. Now I'm pretty sure that my clay is ready and I'm gonna lift up my fabric to see what's the result. I like it already, that's exactly what I wanted, that's beautiful. And now I'm gonna start cutting my shapes and I'm gonna start with the hearts, and there is some tips again. Probably you noticed that now my clay is on a non-sticky paper. Why did I do that? Well, I did it because it's easier to lift it up and remove all the shapes I'm gonna create, and also I'm gonna preserve the worktop I'm working on while I'm cutting my shapes. And there is some of my shapes ready, stars and hearts, and I love them already. Soon I'm gonna start decorating them, but first I need to let them dry in the air. And something I need to do also is the hole where I'm gonna place my rope to hold them on my Christmas tree. And now I'm ready to paint on my decorations, and I use an acrylic color and a soft brush. You will find in the comment what's the brand of the color I used, and the reason why I needed a soft brush is because I'm painting on an uneven surface because of the embossed texture, and I don't want to scratch it with a hard brush. I'm gonna show you only how I painted the top and the side of my decorations, but don't forget to paint also the back of it, and I did it. Otherwise, when you hang your decoration on the tree or everywhere you want to use them, you're gonna see the unfinished back and it's not gonna look nice. The paint I'm using here is very rich and thick, and I didn't need to use a second top. But when you paint your decorations, make sure that the color is not a see-through. Normal acrylic colors gives you a complete coverage unless you use too much water. If you're not too happy with the color or you put too much water in it and you need a second layer, make sure that the previous layer of color is completely dry before applying the second one. I'm done with my painting and I use two different blue because I like to mix color. I don't like to have the same color on all the decorations. And now I'm gonna finish my embossed with some silver color to enhance them. In this case I'm using a silver marker, and I'm gonna leave in the comment what's the brand of the marker. I'm using a marker with a very thick tip because if you use a thin tip the color might go in between the embossed parts, and I really didn't want that. And I recommend to check this before you start painting on your decoration, otherwise you will ruin them if you have a thinner tip. And now let's add some sparkle to some of the decorations. So I'm gonna use some glue on them, but I'm not gonna use it all over the surface. I'm gonna use a brush to brush it only where I like it, to have just a little portion with sparkle. And now let's add some festive sparkle to my decorations. I'm using a quite cheap one, and I believe it doesn't really matter which one you're using. I'm quite happy with the result I have with this one. Before I start spreading the sparkle over my star, I make sure that I have some paper on my worktop, otherwise the sparkle dust will be everywhere. I tap gently on my star to remove the exceeding dust. And there we go. Quite pretty. Now, I like the sparkle to be just on the top of my star, but if you like to have it also on the side, of course you can do it. Make sure that you spread them all over. And this time I'm gonna cover my star with sparkles, and I'm using a sponge instead of a brush to glue the star before I apply it. This time I'm using a sponge instead of a brush because I don't need to create a clear line, but I'm gonna spread the glue all over the star and so with the dust. Then gently attach my star on the worktop to remove the exceeding dust, and here is my star. I quite love it. And now I'm gonna show you all my decorations, and you can see that they are all different. Some of them have the sparkles, some of them have been decorated with the marker, and I like to have them all different, and I'm gonna show you how I use them. I use them to decorate my Christmas tree, where I also made some clay candy canes. And then I use them to decorate some object around the house. You can really do anything you like, so be creative. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you'll have fun making your own Christmas decorations. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel. Have a nice Christmas. Bye!